Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lower House Comedy Lounge. Please turn off your mobile phones and welcome to the stage a guy who's still hanging in there, Gavin Baskerville!
Yeah! Love it, you guys! Woo! Hey, thank you so much for an awesome crowd. This is amazing. I'm very pleased that you all came out. Thank you so much for coming out and seeing the show. Can I first get a round of applause for Tracy Cosgrove and Mick Davies for doing their warm-up for me? It's very, very appreciated. And people sitting down front, that's good. Good to see you all. Thank you so much. This is my show. It is called Hanging In There. That is a reference to the fact that I wrote this show for the Melbourne Comedy Festival to mark 10 years since my first comedy festival. So 10 years of, yeah, thank you. Thank you. And as you can see by the size of the stage and the fact you guys are sitting on ottomans, my career's fucking going great. Doing all right. But 10 years has gone very quickly. I was actually surprised to realise it had been 10 years. It's a weird thing I found. The older I get, the faster time seems to go. Like, do you find like every year goes faster than the last one? It's freaky, isn't it? It's weird. What scares me most about that is because when you think back to when you're a kid, like half an hour at school just took forever, and now what can you do in half an hour? Like nothing, right? So what scares me is if this is true, if this keeps speeding up. Like for me, I just turned 40, and already for me the months and weeks are going by too quick. So if this keeps up, what the fuck is it going to be like when I'm 85? The days will just be whipping by. So I think this is why old people just sit in nursing homes and wobble. Poor bastards probably feel like they're going through hyperspace or something. Thank you for laughing at that joke. I've got a little bit of a confession to make. I think time's going quite quickly for that joke. The truth is, that's actually the oldest joke I do. It's actually the very first joke I ever did on stage. When I started, it was the joke I opened my very first festival show with 10 years ago. So it's really nice to know that it still gets a laugh. It's a bit depressing I haven't written a better opener in 10 years. But anyway, that's all right. But what I like about that joke is that it's always current. Like, it's always relevant, it's always easy to use. Because one of the problems we have as comedians is writing material is that things go out of date. They have like use by dates on them, and so we can't always use them for very long. So what we have to do is we have to find ways to sort of hammer them in and make them current, especially if it's an old topical joke. So what you might see is, and I'm sure you would have seen comedians do this. For example, we just had the Olympics, so comedians might go, "Oh, hey, we just had the Olympics, wasn't that fun? Hey, remember when we had the Olympics back in 2000?" And then launch into a whole lot of material they wrote back in 2000 for the thing. Perfect. Now, personally, I wouldn't do that professionally to you guys because I never wrote any material about the 2000 Olympics. It's true. Nobody cares about that really. Let's talk about the Olympics. We just had that. It's really interesting. I've asked a lot of audiences. Did anybody actually watch the Olympics this year? Sort of. Yeah. Like nobody really. Did anybody watch the opening ceremony at least? Yeah, like one person. Isn't that amazing? And I think the reason that we didn't bother with it is because you're probably like me, if you're similar age, you couldn't give a shit about the opening ceremony because we've already seen the greatest opening ceremony. It's never to be surpassed. You know what I'm talking about, of course. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the 1982 Brisbane Commonwealth Games. That was the opening ceremony, end-all opening ceremonies, wasn't it? It was the greatest thing Australia had ever seen, never to be topped. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gauging there's probably a few people in the audience probably a bit young to remember the 1982. I'm sorry you missed out on it. Let me tell you what you missed out on. It was pretty incredible. It started out like most opening ceremonies. They had sort of kids running around and music playing and dancing and stuff. And they did that thing with the placards where they made the Australian flag, and that was all impressive. And then they got all the athletes and they made the shape of Australia. But they left Tasmania off. Now you remember, don't you? Yeah, all Tasmanians going, and the rest of the country's going, yeah, get used to it. So it was going pretty run-of-the-mill. But then something happened which changed Australia forever. The most incredible thing happened. We didn't see it coming. We couldn't believe that this happened. You see, seemingly out of nowhere, appeared onto the track a 40-foot paper mache kangaroo. It was the most incredible thing we've ever seen. Do you remember the kangaroo? Does anyone remember the name of the kangaroo? Matilda, bingo, 10 points to you, sir. Matilda, that's right. It was amazing, wasn't it? And the whole of Australia was just transfixed. Every child in Australia was like, this is awesome. This is the most incredible thing we'd ever seen. And the whole of Australia was watching because there was fuck all else on TV in 1982. But so this 40-foot kangaroo came out on the track and started moving around the track. And just when we thought, we were already even when we thought it couldn't get any better, Matilda, the giant paper mache kangaroo, winked. Oh my God, we lost our minds! The whole of Australia was clapping and cheering. Everybody's going, this is the most incredible animatronic thing in the world. It starts moving around the track. It took like 3 hours to get around the track. We didn't care because it was brilliant and it was winking. It was winking at the crowd and it winked at Prince Philip and he didn't say anything racist. And it slowly made its way all the way around the track. And then it got to the end of the track and its pouch opened and 50 small children dressed as Joey kangaroos came streaming out. We don't even know how they fit in there. We didn't care. They were out. They were breathing. It was fucking awesome, right? And they came out. They start jumping on mini trampolines. And then Rolf Harris, the Rolf Harris appears and starts singing Timey Kangaroo Downsport in the shadow of a 40-foot kangaroo. You cannot get more Australian than that. Nicky Webster can fuck off. This was the most brilliant thing we would ever see. And it unified us and it brought us together and it made us feel proud to be Australian. And they did it all for a budget of $67.50. Good on Brisbane. Now there is a sad side note to that story, which a lot of people don't know. Unfortunately, a few months after the Commonwealth Games, Matilda was found wrapped around a giant paper mache bull bar. Never to be seen again. But so that's how you hammer in a joke from 1982. And no, I bring up 1982 for a reason. You see, in 1982, I was 10 years old. Now, turning 10 is a big deal for a kid. Double figures, very exciting. You're growing up, you're looking forward to the future. And this was particularly true in 1982, because in 1982, everything was about the future. We'd had space shuttles and stuff. We were looking forward. The future's going to be amazing. All the TV shows and all the movies were set in the future, and the future was going to be incredible. We're going to have talking cars and communication devices and silver suits and it's all this amazing stuff, right? And we were so excited by it. But the truth is, here we are now in 2012. Like in the 2000s. These are the years that all those movies and TV shows were about. And this is a bit shit. It's not quite lived up to the promise, has it? You know, we've kind of got some of the stuff. You know, like we've got the handheld communication devices. But in none of those movies or TV shows were people twittering or playing Angry Birds. There was none of that shit going on, right? We've got talking cars, but they don't solve crime. No, they just help you get to the airport. Like, what a letdown. And we never got our silver suits. You know, in all the movies in the future, everybody's wearing silver jumpsuits. That's what everybody was going to wear. That never happened. And I'm not sure how that was going to happen. I could never work out, even when watching back, how would that happen? How will people suddenly decide, no, fashion, no, screw it, let's all wear the same thing. That's much easier. Like, that couldn't happen because, I've seen a woman burst into tears when she's seen somebody else wearing the same thing she was. That's true. Granted, it was her wedding day. And it was a groom. But the point is, how would we get there? But just when I thought that couldn't happen, I think it's going to start happening. I think it's already starting to happen. I'm pretty sure that in the future we are going to all wear the same thing. It's just that it's not going to be silver jumpsuits. From what I've seen out there, in the future, we're all going to be wearing high-vis work gear. Because that shit is everywhere, isn't it? It's like a freaking virus. Like every job now, you have to have high-vis work. What the fuck? Were there that many people being run over while they were driving a forklift? Like, really? What happened? Truck drivers. You're inside a giant truck. How much more visible do you need to be? Like, what? What is and you've seen the guys that have to wear this stuff too. They're big guys, their guts hanging out, the mustache, they don't need more attention drawn to them. Come on, they don't need a highlighter run over these guys. This is not right. And you know that, of course, it's going to keep going, and we're going to have, the next thing, of course, will be, the school kiddies. The school uniforms will have to be high-vis, won't they? Oh, yeah, because if they're not high-vis, all the kids will get run over, won't they? Oh, so we better get all the kids in the high-vis, and then, of course, once they're in there, the teachers will have to start wearing it, and then pretty much everyone will have to wear high-vis, because if you're not wearing high-vis, you'll get run over. That's what's going to happen. So the transition's going to be tricky. We're going to lose some emos. Probably not a bad thing. Just one more thing for the FML about. They'll be fine. Hipsters will be fine. They'll wear the high-vis, but they'll only wear it ironically. So they'll be fine. But even if we do, right? Even if we do all wear high-vis and we all get the same thing, that's still not as cool as the silver jumpsuits, is it? It's kind of ripped off. It's not as cool. And I think that's kind of symbolic of everything that happens when you're growing up, There's all this promise, Because when you're a kid, you get to believe in all those cool things, don't you? Like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and your own potential. And then as you get older, bit by bit, you'll find out it's all bullshit, don't you? It's all just taken away from you. All the rules change, don't they? All the rules change all the rules on you. Think about it, when you're a kid, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And as a kid, you can say anything. I want to be a rock star, I want to be a ballerina, I want to be anything. You can say anything, but well, you do that. You go and do that, you be anything you want to be. Don't you let anybody tell you can't be. Then you turn 18, and it's like, when are you going to get a real job? Stop dreaming. Right, straight off the bat. When you're a kid, they say things like, well, just because all your friends are doing it doesn't mean that you should too. If all your friends jumped off a cliff, and that changes to, well, all your friends have settled down and had children, when are you going to? Where's that cliff? And some rules you have to work out for yourself. When you're a kid, you're told, you don't talk to strangers, because you talk to strangers, you could get abducted. When you grow up, you learn you don't talk to strangers, because they'll just tell you about their medical problems. But they change, all the rules get changed. They even change fundamental stuff like what it means to be a hero. Because growing up, when I was a kid, right, especially in 1982, everything was about Star Wars. It was all Star Wars. Everything. We had our bed sheets were Star Wars, the posters on the wall, our T-shirts. Everything was Star Wars, and we loved it. Every kid wanted to be, Han Solo or Luke Skywalker, and the girls wanted to be Princess Leia, and the weird hairy kid wanted to be Chewbacca. But we all wanted. It was everything to us. But what's the story of Star Wars? When you break it down, you know what the story of Star Wars is? The story of Star Wars is about a kid who grows up in the desert, right? He grows up to join a small band of rebels who are striking back at an imperial force which has invaded where they are, and they strike back by flying small planes into one of their largest, most impressive structures and destroying it. Sound familiar? You change the words "the Force" to "Allah." Luke's a fucking terrorist, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell happened there? Obi-Wan Kenobi, Osama bin Laden. What the hell? They flipped it on. How did they flip that on us? We were cheering for the wrong side the whole time. We didn't even know it. We were barracking for the wrong team. By today's rules, we should have been supporting Darth Vader and supporting the stormtroopers as they take on the Ewok insurgents. Right? How did they flip that on us? My other hero as a kid was Superman. Superman came down from Krypton, landed to save the plane. By today's rules, Superman, illegal immigrant. What the hell? And I needed these heroes. I needed these heroes as a kid because I needed the vicarious, validation of what, especially the lone guy taking on the mighty force. Like, I needed that because I wasn't a rebellious kid. So I needed that outlet because I didn't rebel at all. I was this most boring, non-rebellious kid you'd ever know. So this is dead true. I didn't even try a cigarette as a kid. I was 30 years old before I tried a cigarette. Isn't that pathetic? And you know why? Because I didn't feel cool enough to smoke. Because it was the cool kids who smoked. And I didn't feel cool. The cool, in primary school, the cool kids are all behind the bike shed, and then you go to high school and they're all down the shops together, and then you go to uni and they're all in the bars and the cafes together, and then you go to work and they're all out in the smoko together, and then even now they're all still hanging out together. They've got the same oncologists. Hanging out in the same cancer wards. I was like, man, it was never cool enough, because I just couldn't start. And I think part of it too was my parents didn't smoke. Now, I think this is a big part. I think for a lot of smokers, it's often because their parents smoked. And my parents didn't smoke. And there was actually only one person in our family who smoked. And to be fair, he probably smoked enough for everybody when I think about it. Because he was one of those guys who would just, you couldn't stop him smoking. He'd smoke, he'd never have put up with the laws we have today. He'd smoke anywhere, he didn't care, in elevators and children's hospitals and petrol stations. He didn't give a shit. So much so that when he did finally die, as per his final request, we had him cremated and had his ashes blown into the face of a complete stranger. As he would have wanted, and so I didn't. Yeah, so I just wasn't a rebellious kid. I had one moment of rebellion as a child. Right, this is my one moment of rebellion. I was must have been about 6 years old, so about 1978. Now again, there's a few young people in the audience. I should explain. In the late 70s, or prior to the 1980s, there used to be this thing called smacking. Right. And the way it worked was, if you were bad as a kid, your parents would smack you, and you learned not to do that shit anymore, right? So, that's kind of what happened. And it was perfectly acceptable and perfectly legal. Now, most people know what I'm talking about. Now, the thing was, too, if you were particularly naughty, there was always one thing that every household had that you'd get smacked with if you were really bad. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, does anybody want to volunteer any of the stuff they used to get smacked with when... Wooden spoon. I think that's the top answer. Yeah, a lot of people, wooden spoon. Anything more exotic than that? I've had some weird shit answers come out of this. A belt strap, yeah, very common. My dad used to get the belt and go snap, snap with it and let's get the shit out of this. A walking cane. Oh, okay, a bit more hardcore. But a fishing rod. Kettle cord. I know, I've heard the kettle cord a few times. That's full on. A radiator? Holy crap. Far out. That's turned on. A hot radiator. I think that wins. I think that's a new, because up until now, the worst one I heard. I had some weird ones. One guy told me he got hit with a piece of rhubarb. I don't know what that was about. Another really weird, common one was a feather duster. I think Dad had some issues. But a radiator. But the worst one I heard up until radiator was the aerial off a car aerial. Yeah, exactly. And they didn't specify whether it was still attached to the car. That would be some mean parents, wouldn't it? It's like, you got this coming at them into the driveway. No, that would be pretty hard. Cool. So yeah, but everybody had, these things, and this is what used to happen, and you knew, and you lived in fear of that, didn't you? You knew that you'd get smacked. So for our house, we just had a stick, and it was a piece of bamboo or dowel or something. It was about that long, and we were terrified of it. Like, if you'll get the stick. You'll get the stick. That was the biggest threat. And the stick lived on top of the fridge, right? That's where it stayed. And so we knew if Mum went for the fridge, we were screwed, right? So we lived in terror, and we were just terrified of this thing. So in my one moment of rebellion, I got together with my sister and we formed the most amazingly brilliant plan ever. Our plan was this. Let's break the stick. Brilliant, right? Awesome, right? So we plotted, we planned, and we conspired, and we waited, right? And we waited till Mum was right down in the backyard, and we got the stool, we dragged it over to the fridge, and my sister held the stool, and I crawled up on top of the stool, and I reached up on top of the fridge, and I found the stick. And oh my God, holding that was like holding Excalibur. This was the symbol of all tyranny in the house. I was, the power that I was holding in my hand, it was incredible, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm holding the stick, I've got the stick. This is just like, break the stick. except we didn't say fucking, just use it, 7, but shit, you know what I mean. So so I got the stick, and I snapped the stick. And oh my God, the exhilaration, the power. This was the most naughty, most rebellious, most incredible thing I'd ever done. It was short-lived. Because Mum walked back into the room pretty much at that moment and quashed our coup, squashed it very quickly. Because she exploited the one little hole in our plot, and that was that now she had 2 sticks. And she could smack us together at the same time. And we learned a very valuable lesson that day. We learned A, not to rebel, and B, that there was a very fine line between a freedom fighter and an evildoer. Right? So we never rebelled again. And I felt, that was my problem. I never rebelled. The other reason I don't think I rebelled much was because I was screwed up Catholic. Sorry, I was brought up Catholic. Judging by the laugh, there's a few Catholics in the room. Yeah? Okay. So Catholicism is awesome because it's full of guilt. And guilt, you want to keep kids in line, you don't need a stick. If you can got good enough guilt, that won't do anything, right? So guilt is awesome. Growing up Catholic was always hard. I should point out I've kind of since lapsed. And I'm not very good. And when I look back, I kind of realised that the clues were there that it wasn't going to last. Because I remember I was... this was in Perth, in WA, and I was a little scrawny little kid, and we'd be wearing shorts because it's hot. Now, in the Catholic Church, as a lot of you might know, there's a lot of kneeling. And I'm not talking in front of priests. I'm just talking at the church sort of thing. There's a lot of kneeling. There's like pretty much every few minutes. It's like, oh yeah, we're down. Oh no, we're up again. Okay. Oh no, we're down again. All right. No, we're up again. Okay. Oh no, we're down again. And there's a lot. I'm surprised so many old people go to church. It's there's a lot of exercise there. I kind of think the Catholic Church might be getting kickbacks on knee reconstructions. I think there's something dodgy going on there. So anyway, so there's a lot of kneeling. Now, in the good churches, in the better off churches, they used to have kneelers to kneel on that were padded, right? So they're like cushioned benches that you could kneel on, so you could kneel in comfort. The church I went to was a bit low rent. It basically had a piece of wood with very sharp corners on it. Now, sharp corners are the natural enemy of a little kid's bony knees. Right? So when I kneeled down on that, it used to hurt like mad. It used to dig in under my kneecaps and hurt like mad, and I hated it. And because, you'd be kneeling for 10 minutes, and as I said, as a kid, that was an eternity. 10 minutes is like forever, so I used to hate it. So I got sick of it one day, and I decided to whinge to Mum, because that's what you do as a kid. And I was like, Mum, I don't want to go to church. Don't like church. Hurts my knees when I kneel down on the church and dig in there and leave red marks. I don't like kneeling in church. I don't want to go to church. Mum responded in the only way that a Catholic mother could respond. Well, Jesus was nailed to a cross for your sins. Bam! How do you come back from that? What I said was, yeah, but he didn't have to do it every week. 2 sticks. Yeah, not good. The other reason that the Catholic thing didn't quite stick with me is I'm one of those annoying kids that ask too many questions. Like I don't just accept things. I ask a lot of questions, and that doesn't fit very well with the Catholic Church. One of the things a lot of things never quite made sense to me. One of the things that always I found weird with the miracles that Jesus did. They'd tell you all the stories about Jesus doing the miracles, and they never quite made sense. It was kind of a game of one of these things is not like the other. All right? Because if you look at it, it's kind of a weird mix of things that he did. Like, he did some really cool stuff. I'm not taking anything away from what he did. Awesome, like he raised the dead. Brilliant, and he healed lepers. Mainly lepers. Bit of a specialist, but, like this. But he got herpes? Piss off. Lepers is my thing. He walked on water. A bit showy, but, okay, I'll pay that. The one that never sat well with me was the turning water into wine. Okay, now the story goes like this. The story goes that Jesus was at a wedding. They ran out of wine. He said, no problem. He got some water, turned the water into wine, saved the wedding. Now on the surface, you go, that's a good miracle. Nice work, J-Man. Come around to my place anytime, right? But when you stop and think about it, it's a bit weird. Because, okay, running out of wine at a wedding, bit of a problem. But I'm not convinced that it's the sort of problem that requires the intervention of the Son of God. Surely a trip down to 9/11, pop next door, like, wouldn't... Why? So what I don't understand is, why would Jesus, the Son of God, agree to do it? Unless he felt in some way responsible for them running out of wine. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? See, it's not clear in the story whether Jesus was drinking that night, but maybe he was. We knew he did drink. He drank at the Last Supper, so maybe that's what was going on. They've come in and gone, Jesus, where's all the wine? Was that the last of the wine? Did I drink all the... I've drunk all the wine. Oh no, I've drunk all the wine. I was just having a good time. I didn't realise I drank all the wine. Why didn't you buy more wine? Oh good Lord, drunk all the... Oh, hey, it's okay. I've got magical powers. Yeah. Just get me some water. I'll turn it into wine. Beautiful, sweet. So maybe that's what happened. That does still require Jesus to have the magical powers. Now, this is a bit more controversial, but there are theologians and people that sort of study this stuff that kind of suggest that maybe some of the stories in the Bible might be exaggerations of fairly normal events that just kind of got a bit misconstrued. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with all of it, but I think if any of the miracles, this might be the one that might have got a bit distorted. I think what happened was this. I think Jesus was at the wedding. I think he was drinking. I think he was having a great old time. I think he was on his way home with a bottle of wine in his hand, on his donkey, and I think he got stopped by the police. Evening, son. Oh, evening, officer. You got any ID on you? Only this shroud. What's that you're drinking? This is just water, officer. It's just water. That's wine. Ta-da! And the rest is history. Maybe. Probably not what happened. But now you know why I'm lapsed. Lapsed, excommunicated, whatever. So it never quite stuck. The Catholic thing never quite stuck with me, you know, much to my parents' disappointment. And you know, and I know that I kind of disappointed my parents a bit, you know, because they had all these grand plans for what I was going to be and how I was going to grow up and all that stuff. And I didn't really follow the right path. I didn't get a job straight out of school. I didn't really do all the right things. And it wasn't really till very recently, in fact last year, that I finally started getting back on track. You see, last year at the age of 39, I finally got married. Thank you very much. And it's good. Marriage is great. My wife, you've met on the door. She's beautiful. It's great. We get along famously. It's awesome. Which is shit for comedy. You know, I think if she really loved me, she'd be more of a bitch, give me some material. That's all I'm saying. I get nothing. I even like my mother-in-law. What fucking hope have I got? But marriage is good. Marriage is good. Round of applause. Who is married in the room? Yeah! Excellent. Newly married, I'm guessing, by the enthusiasm. Look, marriage is good. It's much better. You know, I never would have imagined it'd be so good. It is great. It does change things a bit. It does change the way you see the world. You see the world quite differently. For example, you know, now anytime I see a weather report and they say it's fine, my immediate response is, oh shit, what have I done wrong now? But it's good. I've learned a lot about my wife in that year. I've learned that she really likes back massages. Like really likes back massages. Like, you know, like too much. You know, like it's you know, she wants them all the time. Like, you know, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's like, hey, I'm not just a set of hands. You know, she's obsessed. Like even if I give her a hug, if I accidentally do that on her back, she's like, oh, there. Next thing you know, I'm in a non-consensual massage, and it's just too much. You know, I caught her with back rub porn. Sure, she said they were day spa brochures, but I know what was going on, right? There's all these pictures, glossy pictures of people in exotic locations with beautiful people rubbing them down and oil and kinky shit with hot stones and people walking down. I'm like, honey, I don't understand why you feel the need to look at this stuff. Aren't I enough? Because I try and do the right thing. You know, I give her the back massages when I can and rub her back as often as I can and as well as I can because, you know, I worry if I don't do it enough, she'll go looking for it elsewhere. She might start paying for it. I don't want to have to... I can't compete with that. I don't want her coming home all blissed out and relaxed from things that people have done that I won't do for her. I can't compete with that. And look, like, this is the truth. You know, ladies, you've got to understand this, okay? As guys, there's a lot of parts of you that we want to rub. Your back isn't one of them. There's nothing going on there. It's all very boring. And what's frustrating is when your backs are sore, that's when we've got to rub it the most. The more sore it is, the more we've got to rub it. The bits we want to rub, when they're sore, we're not allowed to go near it. It's very confusing. To me, it seems like a bit of a design problem on the big guy's part, you know? Like, all he had to do was put the boobs on the back, we could have all been happy. It's seems logical to me. So, married for a year, the questions have started. Oh, are we having kids soon? Oh, when are you going to have kids? We're not. Let's clear that right now. No kids, I'm sorry, we're not having kids. And the reason we're not having kids is because we don't want kids. We think that's a pretty good reason, just quietly. I think if you're having kids and don't want them, could be a problem. All right, so we don't want kids. And you know, and it's not that I don't like kids. It's just that I sort of see little kids as sort of being a bit like Americans. You know, one-on-one, they're fine. When they stay home, they're great. It's just as soon as there's a lot of them and they're out in public, they're loud, they're annoying, and they ask too many dumb questions. You know. But hey, look, you know, I say we don't have kids, but hey, it could change. We you know, we might change our minds. That could happen. I'm the first to admit. You know, we might wake up one day and just think, God, I'm getting way too much sleep. Just way too much sleep. I'm so sick of having our weekends to ourselves, and we've got all that money left over that's going to waste. We've got all this nice stuff that's not broken, and I've run out of things to post on Facebook. Do you want to have children? Yeah, let's have children. Like, that could happen. That's not going to happen. But the other reason I'm not sure about having kids, and don't take this the wrong way, but I think you'll agree with me, they don't make them like they used to. Let's be honest. They're a bit piss weak now, aren't they, kids? They're not really... No, they are, let's be honest about it. Because I don't know if you've known this, but apparently the most terrifying thing that you can do in today's society... Open a packet of peanuts in a primary school. Oh my God, people lose their mind. Oh, the kids are all going to die. Hide the peanut, get rid of all the... Where the fuck did that shit come from? Come on, that's ridiculous. I'm not saying these allergies don't exist, but they cannot be as common as people are making out, can they? 10 years ago, you could eat a peanut butter sandwich and the people around you survived. What the fuck happened between now and then? It's insane. You know what somebody said to me? Oh, I think it's diagnosed more now. What? No, I'm pretty sure we would have noticed that shit. Kids turning red and passing out at play lunch. I think that would have been a clue. It would have been... A lot of dead puffy kids around here. Should probably look into that, right? It's ridiculous. And what's scary is that it's, you know, people are just sort of accepting it. Oh, you know, but this has happened in 10 years. This is like a pretty serious problem in our basic defences that has developed in a very short period of time. That does not bode well for the human race. In another 20 years, the aliens are going to come down armed with nothing more than a Snickers bar, and we're all fucked. Run for your lives! I think they've got gluten. What the fuck happened to us? And everybody's just gone, oh no, it's normal. It's normal. We've all got our EpiPens. It's normal. It's not fucking normal. Look into that shit. Australia's got a higher incidence than anywhere in the world. Look into that shit, right? Because this is our problem. We just accept this stuff as normal. We don't even know what normal is now. Do you remember the ad that used to be on TV here? It had the alarming statistic that 90% of women suffer from cellulite. 90%. Now, I'm not very good at statistics, I'm certainly not very good at maths, but I'm pretty sure if 90% of women have the same thing on their bodies, chances are it's meant to be there. Doesn't 90% equal normal? Isn't that like the whole definition of normal? The ad should be 10% of women are cellulite deficient. That should be the fucking ad. But it's not, because we're fucked up, right? We don't even know anymore. We've lost all sense of what it is to even be on this planet. We're so fucking useless. I mean, you think about what we have to do, right? We have to work 9 to 5 all week in a job we probably don't even like to save money and to earn money so that we can put a roof over our head and we can put, just let that guy in, you can put the roof over our head and put clothes on our body, right? Animals don't have to do that. You know what animals do? Dogs and cats come winter, they get a bit cold, you know what they do? Grow more hair. Winter coat, right? Just like that. That makes sense. What do? We start growing more hair, what do we like? No, get that shit off me! No, crap, get that! No, ripping it out by the... Get rid of all that! Oh, I'm cold. What's wrong with us, right? We spend money on deodorant and perfumes because we don't like the way we smell. We've got a sense of smell, but we don't like the immediate surrounds. And what we smell like, we don't like what other people smell like. Dogs have a sense of smell way more powerful than us. They fucking love the way they smell. They can't get enough. They go right to the source, don't they? Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, there's somebody else's ass. I'll go smell that. Like they go. Why wouldn't you want to enjoy your senses? What's wrong with us? We just don't fit in. Nothing illustrates this more than the whole Man vs. Wild. Bear Grylls, you know, remember the guy? Yeah, I think his show's been axed, thank God, because the whole premise of his show was that humans are crap, right? When you break it down, that's the whole premise of his show, is humans are crap. Because what he does is he goes out into these, arid environments, these desolate places, and he's always struggling to survive, and it's always like, if I don't find water and shelter soon, I can probably die. Right? And then he ends up drinking his own urine. And, that should never be right. Okay? But what's weird is that when he's ever in these places, there's always like some little gecko-y lizard, like a little fragile gecko-y lizard, living in exactly the same desolate conditions without being a dickhead. Now, Bear could learn a lot from this little guy. But he doesn't. What does Bear do? Eats the fucking lizard, bingo, that's right! In a perfect embodiment of humanity, why learn from nature when you can destroy it for short-term personal gain, right? But to be fair to Bear, which isn't the start of play school, but to be fair to Bear, he does do better than I would. If I was on that show, it'd be like, if I don't find water and shelter soon, I could probably die. And then we'd come back from the ad break, and I'd be dead. And that would be a pretty shit show. I'll tell you the show I want to see. The show I want to see is a reversal of Man vs. Wild. What I want to see is a show where we take that little fragile gecko-y lizard, and that lizard has to live as a human for a week. And live in the human environment for a week. And let's see how he goes. And when I say that, I mean he's got to hold down a job, support a wife and kids, because let's see how well the lizard does. I know he's going to struggle at work. Lizards, notoriously bad with Excel worksheets. Their little stickers get stuck on the keys. That's very hard for them, right? But in the lizard's defence, no matter how hard that week got for the lizard, in the pressures of work and the deadlines and all the boss yelling at him and looking after his wife and finding time to spend with the kids and keeping his marriage alive, no matter how hard that week got for that lizard, I can promise you that at no point would the lizard drink his own urine. So the lizard wins, all right? Because this is the thing, we're not good. We're not good. And we get so wrapped up in crap, you know what I mean? Like we get stressed about all this shit and we get angry about stuff. But the truth is, anytime you're getting pissed off and depressed and all that sort of stuff, just get the hell out of the city. Just get out of the city and go out and see what's out there. Because, Tasmania is incredible. If you've been out there, it's just insanely beautiful. And it always has been and it always will be. It's insanely beautiful. The whole world is incredible. The only thing that fucks it up is people. Right? We ruin it. And I'm not even talking environmentally. I'm talking like, I've been down to, like on beaches down to Ranaway. It's just stunning, and there's been a perfect beach. It's like, white sand and crystal clear water and mountains off in the distance and trees and birds chirping. Just beautiful and pristine. Only to have...
Jaden, get in the car! Jaden, where's your sister? Sister Tarana, get in the car! Jaden, where's Tarana? Where's...
Ruined. Just destroyed in seconds. And that's what we do. We ruin everything. We do it, even, have you ever watched a volcano? There's documentaries on volcanoes. There's one in Japan that's just gone off. They're incredible. It's spectacular. And it's like, oh my God, that's beautiful. That's the most incredible thing. Oh, there's people involved. Oh, great, now it's a fucking disaster. All right, call that the relief fund. It's ruined. We just can't do anything right. We're not good creatures. And what scares me is we're not getting better. We're not getting better as a society. We're not learning anything. We're still look at the issues we're dealing with. Oh, the biggest issue over the last month. Oh, gay marriage. I can't have gay marriage. It's all like, fucking what? Okay, to be fair to the fundamentalist Christians, I understand why they have such trouble with, seeing gay people as an affront to traditional marriage. It is, because, let's think about it. If you've got two men in the marriage or two women in the marriage, who gets forced to stay home and cook and clean? That's a real affront to traditional marriage, right? So, but it is. But I don't understand homophobia. I've never understood that. I don't think anybody should be homophobic. I think unless you have gotten in your car, pulled down your sun visor, and a gay man has fallen in your lap, what are you afraid of, right? It's insane. And homophobia comes from the weirdest fucking places. The place I don't understand homophobia is AFL football teams. What the fuck are they homophobic about? Do you know what they do after a game? They shower together naked. Okay, there may not be anything wrong with that, but let's be honest. On the scale of sort of, 0 to gay, showering naked with other men, I don't know. I've never showered naked with another man, and I studied theatre arts. And what's even weirder is this, where this shit happens? Like, they do this stuff in places like the MCG. The MCG, multi-million-dollar sporting complexes. You telling me they couldn't, afford individual shower stalls? Come on, that's bullshit. What do they say? Oh, sorry guys, we blew the last $1 million on the scoreboard. We can't afford the extra plywood to make individual shower stalls. You'll just all have to muck in together. I'm just going to stand over here and watch. What? It makes no fucking sense, right? And another thing that happens in the AFL culture, according to Four Corners, is the group sex thing, right? Apparently, this is quite acceptable, that if one guy's having sex with a girl, another guy joins in, no problem at all, it's just a bit of football stuff. Yeah, no worries. No, that's fucking weird, right? I'm sorry, but if you're a male having sex with a woman and there's another man naked and erect in the room and that's not putting you off, you can't be homophobic, all right? And it's not like they can't afford individual girlfriends, all right? It's just... I don't understand it. Worse than homophobes, though, the thing I hate more is homophones. Yeah, they're people who claim not to be homophobes, but sound like them. You are an awesome crowd. Every Perth and Melbourne, nobody got that fucking joke, right? I like it. Yeah, that's good. But the other issue which is crazy that we're still dealing with, and I can't believe we have to in this, in 2012, is the whole racism thing. And it's not getting better. I mean, it's trying to stir up all the Islamophobia again. It's like, what the fuck? How do we... Because the racism... And like I said, I did the show in Perth, and they just fucking... They love their racism over there. They got stickers on their car, and they just fucking... And they've got all these... And the racists always have these sort of categories. They've always got these dossiers on everybody, and they know what everybody is. Like, these people do this, and these people do this, and these people do this, and it'll never change, because these people... And it's like, it's always bullshit. It's always made-up crap. The one I hated most of all was when people are going, oh, the Muslims in their burqa, hijab things, they shouldn't wear that in Australia because that's offensive. That's offensive to us. Really? You're probably right. They should probably dress more like Australians, shouldn't they? They should be wandering Eastlands in ill-fitting lycra and, a singlet top with a stretch mark fucking tattooed tit hanging out the side and a cigarette in their mouth and their hair bleached with going, Jaden, where's Tarana? Get in the fucking car. We're going to the beach. Like, just fucking... That would be far less offensive, wouldn't it? It just does my head in. I just get so sick of it. Like, I'm going to clear up the racism thing once and for all. Okay, I can solve it right here, right now, clear it right up. I'm going to tell you the truth. This is the truth, okay? Muslims do not blow people up. Asians do not form gangs, import drugs and stab people. Aboriginal people do not steal cars, they do not break into homes, they do not bash people. You know who does that stuff? Assholes! Assholes do that stuff. It just so happens that assholes come in all shapes and colours. All races and creeds. They can all be assholes. Did you know some assholes are even white? Unbelievable! Did you know most serial killers and mass shooters? White men. Yeah, you don't see anybody going, oh, it's a white man, quick, hide the children. Unless you're an Aboriginal person in the 1960s. Sad but true, right? But this is the point. Right? We've got to stop dividing people up based on the colour of their skin or where they come from, and just decide, well, are you nice or are you an arsehole? It's a much easier way to divide the world up. You know, and if you're not sure of what's an arsehole, well, let's clear that up, okay? If you stab somebody, you're an arsehole, all right? If you hijack a plane and crash it into a building, you're an arsehole. If you break into somebody's home and steal their stuff, you're an arsehole. If you beat somebody up, you're an arsehole. If you drive slowly on the Midlands Highway but speed up when you get to an overtaking lane, you're an arsehole. If you're the producer of Today Tonight, Current Affairs, Sunrise, or The Today Show, you're an arsehole. If you hit your wife, you're an arsehole. If you hit your kid with a car antenna or a radiator, you're an arsehole. It's true. If you think you're only an arsehole when you drink, you're an arsehole, right? And if you try to defend being an arsehole by quoting the Bible, you're an arsehole. And if you're an arsehole, like, I don't care if you grew here or flew here. If you're nice, you can stay. If you're an arsehole, fuck off, we're full. Thank you for the two people. Again, in Perth, no response to that at all. Frightening stuff. But no, look, this is it. You've got to understand, the world is a nice place. Like I said, you've got to look at the good people or the bad people and just go, well, let's look at the good people. And the good people, all shapes and colours, doing amazing work. Incredible charities doing awesome work, even locally. You know, you've got your, what have we got, all the different charities down there? You know what I mean? All those guys out there, I was going to say the Good Samaritans, but you don't have them here. But, Colony 47, well, Vinnie's. Yeah, well, I worry about Vinnie's because, St Vincent de Paul, they call themselves Vinnie's now. That makes me sound like if I don't donate to them, I'm going to send the boys around. It's a bit scary. But yeah, so much charity. And, give to charity. Why not? Give to homeless people. You see a homeless person, give them some money. What does it matter, I always make sure I give money to beggars because I think beggars are just buskers who don't like to show off. Actually, speaking of charities, I don't know if this happened to anybody else yesterday. On Murray Street, there was a guy from Amnesty International. He had the old clipboard out, and he was doing surveys and trying to get people to sign up and stuff. And I was running late to meet somebody, and as I went down the street, he stopped me and he's like, "Oh, do you know about all this stuff?" And I was kind of interested, I wanted to help, but I was really running late, so I was a bit torn. I was like, "Oh, I've got to go." And he was really keen. He obviously hadn't met his quota, and he's like, "Do you want to sign that?" And I'm like, "I've really got to go." And he's like, "Oh, but look, this is really important. It won't take long of your time." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I've really got to go." And this sort of went on and on until I suddenly realised the irony that somebody from Amnesty International was detaining me against my will. That's a bit wrong. Anyway, so the point is, like I said, the world is nice. You've got to be. We've got to be good. Now, I said it before at the start of the show, this was to mark 10 years of me doing solo comedy shows. Now, the temptation, of course, at a time like that would be to, sort of look back and do a bit of a retrospective, and tell you, do some of my best material and, brag about all the people that I've got to work with and all that sort of stuff. But I've done fuck all. So rather than do that, I thought that was kind of also a bit backward looking, I suppose. So what I'd rather do for you guys, if you're up for it, is a way to celebrate 10 years, is actually look forward. And what I'd like to do for you now is actually perform my routine from 10 years in the future. Would you be up for that? So what we'll do, I'm going to leave stage, I'm going to come back and I'll be 10 years in the future, so don't freak out for the time thing, and I'll give you a sneak peek of what I'll be doing in 10 years' time. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, ready? Here we go.
and gentlemen, welcome to the Lower House Comedy Lounge. Please turn off your psychic transmitters and welcome to the stage a guy who's still hanging in there, Gavin Baskerville.
Hello, good to see you. Thanks for coming out. It's good to see you all here to celebrate my 20 years since I've done a comedy show. This is pretty good. Thanks for coming out. 20 years, long time. As you can see by the size of the room, my career is fucking going great. And but I'll tell you what, that 20 years has gone quick. Is it just me, or does time go faster the older you Okay, so it's 2022, it's exciting times. See, Bindi Irwin just got out of rehab. So I messed up a little bit, she turned out to be, but that's all right. And then, of course, we just had the election. You happy with your new Prime Minister, Gina Reinhardt? Yes. Yeah, well, she had to do something, didn't she, after the mining boom ended? You know, WA there was doing so well, weren't they? You know, there's all those cashed up bogans. Because now it's just full of bogans. But old Gina, you know, I'm a bit worried about Gina. I'm worried she's going to undo all that good work we've done, you know. Australia had got so good, hadn't it? Got so prosperous, it was doing so well, you know. We didn't have any problems with the boat people anymore. We didn't have problems with gay marriage anymore. We didn't have any of that abuse, bullying, none of all that. And who knew it was going to be as simple as banning talkback radio? It's so simple. But anyway, but yeah, worry about it. You know, politics too. I don't know if you noticed the army base up in Northern Territory. Did you see they've renamed themselves to Fort Garrett? Yeah, they're named after Peter after he died, of course. It was sad that we had to lose Peter, but you know, how long can a man live without a spine? The US forces get the nod. Well, that's all right. You know what I miss? I miss the internet. Do you remember the internet? Wasn't that awesome? All that free stuff you used to be able to get, all that free porn, guys, wasn't that great? Because we can't do it anymore. No, now we've got to download the Horny Sluts app to our iChip 5. You'll get your iChip in, I suppose. You've got the cool thing. I think the I stands for itchy. Is that just me? Just... All right, cool. Fair enough. But remember that Bear Grylls guy? Remember that crazy guy who used to do the show? See what happened? They found his head. They found his head on top of a mountain. Apparently he got stuck up there, tried to eat himself to survive. So I've got 3 kids now. 9, 6 and 3. And tell you what, I'm glad they made these things legal again. That certainly makes the job a hell of a lot easier. So you can't break that one either. It's sort of well thought out. Thanks for that, Gina. And but you know, it's weird. The little 9-year-old one. He brings all his friends around, you know, and his friends all come in. They're all the friends that all got that fucking condition, you know, the one where they walk out into the sun and they burst into flames. Where the fuck did that shit come from? 10 years ago, they were just allergic to peanuts. It's like a nice. I don't know what's going on. And of course, 2022. It's a Commonwealth Games year, and you're going to watch the Commonwealth Games when it happens? Nah, so nobody cares, do they? Because if you're anything like me, you've already seen the greatest Commonwealth Games that ever happened, yeah. Especially the opening ceremony, you know what I'm talking about. The 1982 Brisbane Commonwealth Games, well, that was an opening ceremony, wasn't it, folks? Wasn't it, folks? Okay, you're obviously a bit young to know what I was talking about. Okay, let me paint a picture for you. It started out fairly normal, run-of-the-mill, kids running around and singing and dancing and stuff, but then... Actually, you know what, let's go one better. Why don't you get your little fangled fucking iChip thing, switch it over to virtual reality mode, if you just want to do that now. Let's go back, actually, let's have a look at the 1982 Commonwealth Games. Here you go, switch over, let's see what happens.
Australian song. Up there, the ethnic dancers perform so well. And here she is, she's coming into the stadium. The First Lady, Matilda. And have a look at this. This is absolutely magnificent. Look at there she is down the middle of the picture now. The dancing are leaving, but Matilda is coming out on her track. There she is in the background. That's Matilda. And look at her.
And just watch for the blinking eye, too. It's fabulous. Winking at the crowd right now. I think there's another wink is brewing, I suspect.
And here they are, the young Matildas have come out, the tiny temple and entertainers have been voted to him. And here's Rolf Harris that's entering the stadium.
Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down. Thanks for coming to my show, oh, thanks for coming to my show. Now it's time for me to go, so thanks for coming to my show. All together now!
Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down. Let's hear ya! Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Kangaroo down, tiny kangaroo down, sport, tiny kangaroo down, tiny kangaroo down.
So sad to say goodbye to Matilda. You'll be pleased to know, for anybody concerned about Matilda's welfare, she actually does still exist. She's actually outside Noosa as a petrol station. That's dead true, so you can go look that up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming out and helping me send off this show. It goes away now or forever. But thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. Can I get a few people I need to thank? Firstly, Heath on the sound, doing all my audio cues and setting all the sound up for me today. Thank you so much, Heath. To, of course, the wonderful Lower House staff here, Jimmy and Kira, looking after us again every month. There is comedy here every month, every second Thursday of the month. Next month we've got a famous, fabulous act from Adelaide, a young guy called Amos Gill. He was a runner-up in the Royal Comedy this year. Absolutely brilliant. Come and check him out. But also need to thank Jane on the door for looking after us and helping me today when things got a bit hairy. So thank you very much. Beautiful wife. And to all of you guys, because without you, the show would have been very quiet. So thanks very much to all of you. Give yourselves a round of applause. You've been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming out to my show. I'm Gavin Baskerville. Good night!